Hi and welcome to Potsdamer Platz in the heart of Berlin. Here you'll find the Berlin Film Museum, the Berlin Film School and more cinemas per square foot than anywhere in Germany. So it's the ideal location for our show. Here's what's coming up.
Global movie making, how the World Cinema Fund promotes international film. Hollywood success, Austria wins its first Oscar. Teen Fascists, the film The Wave on the seductive appeal of Nazism.
I remember the book The Wave from school. In the 80s, it was required reading. It's the story of a real experiment at a high school in California. A teacher showed his students how easy it is to manipulate the masses and create a fascist society. For his film of the book, director Dennis Gansel transplanted the story to modern-day Germany.
It's an ordinary day at an ordinary school. The students are supposed to be learning about fascism. But no one seems at all interested.
Autokratie, was ist das?
Rainer, können wir nicht bitte irgendwas anderes machen?
Was?
Ja, lass uns über die Bush-Regierung sprechen.
Warte mal, aber ich finde das gerade interessant. Ihr seid also der Meinung, dass eine Diktatur in Deutschland nicht mehr möglich wäre, ja?
Auf keinen Fall, dazu sind wir viel zu aufgeklärt.
Easily said. In The Wave, a class of unruly school kids gradually transforms into a chilling paramilitary group.
Disziplin, Herr Wenger. Macht durch Disziplin.
Director Dennis Gansel reveals the mechanisms of dictatorship and how easily young people can be seduced by them.
Interessant.
Joining lead actor Jürgen Vogel and director Dennis Gansel at the premiere was US history teacher Ron Jones. In the late 1960s, Jones conducted a wave-like experiment with pupils at a Californian high school, demonstrating how susceptible young people are to authority.
I've discovered how to really teach well because people were learning rapidly. I kept coming home to my wife saying, Deanna, they're really learning. This is crazy, because I used to have little stations and I used to have a freedom in my classroom, and now I'm very rigid and there's just answers to every question and everyone seems to be helping everyone else. I've stumbled upon this great way of teaching. Of course, the consequence was damaging to all.
The film shows how this kind of group pressure works.
Karl, wir haben doch gesagt, dass wir alle mitmachen.
Lass mich in Ruhe.
The class begins to call itself The Wave. They wear white shirts as their uniform. Individualism is out, group identity is in.
Das ist unser Zeichen. Cool. Wie eine Welle werden wir die ganze Stadt überrollen.
I want people to know how it works. I want people to feel they too are being swept up in it. It's so easy to say, I'd never have joined in, that wouldn't have been possible, I'm completely free of these things. I believe that is simply not true.
Das stimmt einfach nicht.
Alle haben plötzlich voll mitgemacht. Das war wie so eine unheimliche Energie, die jeden mitgerissen hat.
Unheimlich.
The kids' enthusiasm for the authoritarian movement is fueled by their parents' indifference.
Jetzt müssen wir mal aufstehen, wenn wir was sagen wollen. Das ist gut für die Durchblutung. Und unsere Antworten müssen immer kurz und knapp sein.
Sehr schön. Und warum hältst du dich da nicht daran?
The charismatic teacher becomes their role model, their leader.
Kann ich Ihnen helfen?
Was willst du denn hier?
Ich muss Sie beschützen.
Du musst was?
Ich möchte Ihr Leibwächter sein.
Was soll ich denn mit dem Leibwächter? Tim, geh nach Hause.
Was soll ich denn da? Da interessiert sich sowieso keiner für mich.
After some initial uncertainty, the teacher, played by Jürgen Vogel, begins to enjoy his role as leader.
There comes a point when you get the feeling that the vanity that comes with the power is dangerous for him too. He as the teacher also falls for it, because he's only human. He's also susceptible because he has people hanging on his every word.
But the game goes off the rails. What started as a harmless teaching experiment turns into a dangerous power game. You're either part of it, or you're doomed.
Was hast du eigentlich gegen die Welle?
Mensch, Marco, mach doch mal die Augen auf. Die Welle entwickelt sich zu einer echt komischen Sache.
It develops its own dynamic. It happens at the World Cup or in beer tents, or even at the Berlin Film Festival when groups meet up. There are people who really fire up others. It happens fast. It's only a question of what direction it's headed in.
In his Nazi-era film, Before the Fall, Dennis Gansel also looked at how easily kids fall for fascism. The Wave is based on a novel of the same name. It took Gansel years to get the rights. He eventually decided to relocate the story from the US to a fictitious small German town. The film tells us that the mechanisms of fascism can work everywhere, even nowadays.
The only thing that might help us is to look critically at ourselves and at the political systems in which we live. That's probably the only thing that protects us.
The Wave examines the circumstances under which normal kids develop into the followers of an inhuman system. The film doesn't offer answers. It raises uncomfortable questions and forces us to confront our own susceptibility to the power of authority.
Now for our shortcuts. We've got 3 new films for you that are just coming out in Germany. But let's start with an appetizer, a short film competition inspired by the International Charter of Human Rights.
Film students from 10 countries met in the Russian city of St. Petersburg for a festival of short films on human rights.
It has nothing to do with countries. And it has everything to do with humanity.
First prize went to A Human Request from Germany.
Alle Menschen sind frei und gleich an Rechten und Würde geboren. Können wir uns alle darauf einigen, durch diese Tür hier hindurchzugehen?
German filmmaker Barbara Falkner focused on the creation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. 8 countries, including the Soviet Union and Saudi Arabia, abstained from voting for it.
Jeder hat Pflichten gegenüber der Gemeinschaft.
A Lithuanian director used animation to explore the complex theme of human rights. Her protagonist is a loner with a head full of fantasies. He frees himself from societal pressure and brings his colorful ideas into the gray of everyday life. No Routine is an appeal for tolerance of those who are different. One of many inspiring messages at the All Humans Are Free and Equal Festival.
So, und jetzt? Ab jetzt haben wir Spaß.
When 3 headstrong sisters plan a birthday party for their even more headstrong mother, there's bound to be trouble. This is a family drama where the women are the stars and the men play supporting roles.
We love them and they turn our lives to chaos. That's the role the men play. I feel very close to the women because I am one myself and know full well how strange and quirky and illogical we can be.
108.
Das tut mir aber jetzt leid. Du hast es schon wieder verloren.
Ja, Anna, ich habe schon wieder verloren.
3 sisters with 3 very different lifestyles in a family fraught with drama, both profound and trivial.
Ich glaube, jetzt ist er sauer.
Die kommt ja wieder. Es ist eine ganz normale Familie.
It's an ordinary family, and you get a look at how such ordinary lives bumble along. How people fight, and how they love and need each other. But the love is concealed, and it's much more enchanting when it's revealed.
Das ist alles so schön.
According to the Plan is a witty, ironic first feature about how life can't be planned.
Bereits mit 4 Jahren haben wir uns verlobt. Geheiratet haben wir mit 8.
Marriage rituals in a small village somewhere between Europe and Asia, in Absurdistan.
Meine Großmutter berechnete die optimale Konstellation für unsere erste Nacht.
Nach meiner Rechnung wird es der 11. Juli sein. In 4 Jahren.
Finally, Temelko and Aya can consummate their marriage. But there's no water for the ritual bath. The village men haven't repaired the pipeline, so the women put on the pressure.
Ohne Wasser gibt's auch keinen Sex.
Shooting the story of a sex strike in Absurdistan took a lot of work.
I travelled to 26 countries for Absurdistan looking for actors. In the end, 16 nationalities took part in the shoot. And the energy generated on location by all these people from all these countries was so wonderful. I'd never want to lose it.
Den Druck auf die Männer zu erhöhen, teilten wir das Dorf.
Despite her great love for Temelko, Aya joins the women in their cause. The sex strike works wonders, and in wonderful images, Veit Helmer brings his absurd story of Absurdistan to an end. Ossi is just out of jail, and he's already planning his next break-in. He gets a gang together.
Dürfte ich erfahren, worum es hier überhaupt geht?
Karl bringt uns mit seinem LKW auf das Gelände.
Über die Feuerleiter aufs Dach, durch die Luke nach innen und über die Empore zum Geldlager. Ganz einfach.
These are small-time crooks working in provincial eastern Germany.
It was important for me that there was lots of humanity in the film and some humour. And the humanity also brings in the tragic, because there are both tragic and comic stories.
Der verarscht uns doch.
Slowly, the gang gets itself together. They're a dodgy bunch, all out to pull off a coup.
Sag mir, dass der Opa da nur zufällig steht.
Da sind wir ja schon.
Sag mal, Bruno, ich hab gesagt, Skimaske, nicht Skimütze.
Mann, Mann, Mann.
Any similarity to Ocean's 11 is purely intentional.
Ossi's 11 and
Ossi's 11 and Ocean's 11, it's a play on words. And with 11 characters, there is a parallel. But it's the only one. How these 11 get together, that's actually the story.
Ossi's 11 is a send-up of the Hollywood blockbusters and a witty crime caper made in Germany.
Also, was sagst du? Hast du Lust, mit mir ein paar alte Münzen zu klauen?
The World Cinema Fund was set up 4 years ago at the Berlin Film Festival. Its goal is to provide money for international co-productions to make films that wouldn't exist otherwise. Every year the fund hands out €500,000. To see how it all works, our reporter Andrea Horak took her camera to Turkey and visited the set of one of the films backed by the fund.
Below me lie the Alps. I'm on my way to Izmir to spend 3 days reporting on the Turkish director Semih Kapanoglu. It's a 4-hour drive from the airport to the mountainous backcountry. Soon, all we meet are dusty trucks that almost push us off the road. And then we come to what looks to me like the gates of hell. It's one of Turkey's largest coal mines. This is where Semih Kapanoglu is shooting the closing sequence of his film Süt, or Milk in English, under very tricky conditions. The camera is hidden, and the miners don't know they're being filmed, so that the situation remains as realistic as possible. Hiring extras would have been too expensive. The budget is limited. That's why the World Cinema Fund is supporting this ambitious project. "2 a.m. Everyone's freezing and tired. Time for a final team conference. In his film, Semih Kapanoglu reflects the upheaval in his country.
In the past 10 years, Turkey has changed dramatically. And that's something I also want to recount. The changes have been greatest on the outskirts of towns and in rural areas.
After a short night, the muezzin awakens us. We travel back to Izmir, a modern city on the Aegean Sea, a reminder that Turkey has many faces. On this day, we're looking for a place to shoot a short romantic encounter. Semih Kapanoglu belongs to the generation of Turkish directors who make realistic films, closely reflecting people and society, minimalistic and truthful. The film Milk tells the story of a mother and son. Every day they sell milk at the market, earning less and less as the supermarket destroys their means of earning a living. Increasingly, they lose each other. The mother finds emancipation, while her son takes refuge in tradition. The mother takes a lover who works as a station master. We look for a suitable location to film a scene at his workplace. The main theme of the film is Turkey itself, torn between yesterday and tomorrow.
All my characters live in this dichotomy between the modern and the traditional. They drift between East and West. And when they turn their faces to the West, their hearts turn to the East.
The next morning, shooting starts in Izmir. The location, a bookshop. Semih Kapanoglu is a well-known director in Turkey, but it's still hard for him to finance his films.
I depend upon co-productions for funding. But it's hard to find international partners. Partners who want to invest in Turkish films.
Today, Kapanoglu is directing the first encounter between Semih and Yusuf. He found his two performers in a school. They're amateurs who never studied acting. There's a break in shooting while everyone waits for rain. It'll emphasize the melancholy mood of the film better than a sunny sky. As the first clouds appear, things get going. In this scene, Semra and Yusuf discover their spiritual kinship, but still fail to get together.
It was through the World Cinema Fund that I made contact with my German producers, Heimatfilm. That was decisive for me. The films the World Cinema Fund supports are highly respected internationally. They're films with a future.
In the evening, the long-awaited rain arrives. The team have known each other and worked together for a long time. They're proud of their international success, and they already have funding for their next projects in Turkey as well. Much of that is due to the World Cinema Fund, providing development aid for high-quality cinema around the world. The last scene is shot late at night. For Semih Kapanoglu and his team, it's been a long but satisfying day.
With me now is Bettina Brokamper, whose company Heimatfilm co-produced Süd, Milk.
Hello. Hi.
Good to have you here.
Thanks.
The money the World Cinema Fund spends per production is a lot for some, but very little for the others. So is it safe to assume that money is not the main point of the World Cinema Fund?
I think that's safe to assume, because I think the main point is that world cinema takes place in Germany again. We have a problem that there's not a lot of cultural exchange with certain regions in the world, and this is to enhance this exchange of ideas. And also it's to help infrastructure in certain territories that are not yet up to date on film infrastructure, and to discover stories from faraway places and bring them to Germany and make sure they're seen.
Over the past years, you've been involved in a lot of international co-productions. How important is networking for getting involved on an international level?
It's extremely important to network, to have contacts, to be able to call somebody in every country. But it's also very important to look for stories and things that make you passionate about a story you want to tell. And that's, I think, is the main thing of it.
Yeah. And does German cinema benefit from producers gaining experience internationally?
I think every experience you gain makes your next production better. So yes, I would say German productions benefit from international experience.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This year's Academy Awards showed how successful co-productions can be. The Oscar winner for Best Foreign Film was The Counterfeiters, a true Austrian-German co-production. It was Austria's first Oscar, and director Stefan Ruzowitzky was welcomed back to Vienna like a returning prince.
There were enthusiastic celebrations in Vienna's town hall when Stefan Ruzowitzky brought his Oscar back home. It's the first time an Austrian film has won the coveted trophy for Best Film in a Foreign Language.
And the Oscar goes to Austria for The Counterfeiters, accepting the director Stefan Ruzowitzky.
I really haven't been able to catch my breath, let alone stop and think. There's been so much hysteria. I'm dead tired, and I'm only still able to talk because my adrenaline levels are so high. It's a tremendous thing, and as the winners say in sports interviews, it'll take time before it sinks in.
Karl Markowitz plays the lead role in the drama, which tells the story of how Jewish inmates at Sachsenhausen concentration camp were forced to counterfeit foreign currency. Playing alongside him were German actors August Diehl, David Striso, and Marie Bäumer.
Financially as well as creatively, this film is half German and half Austrian. We did most of our shooting in Germany at the Babelsberg studios. It is, of course, a German and Austrian story, in the same way that the entire Third Reich and the Holocaust are part of both German and Austrian history.
In the film, Ruzowitzky depicts how the counterfeiters were given macabre privileges as an inducement. Because their work supported the Nazis, they were allowed to survive for a while.
The film is exciting, it's an interesting story. It's emotional, it's entertaining. That was the idea, basically, to make a film that's a good cinematic experience and also includes a few politically important points.
He wasn't afraid. He went into it with no preconceptions. He had respect, but no fear. Regard for his subject without being awestruck. And he won the lot.
The Counterfeiters wasn't a success everywhere. Its first run in Germany brought in a mere 430,000 euros, much less than in Britain.
I always had a German audience in mind, but I have to say that the film worked least well in Germany, unfortunately.
Time and again, Ruzowitzky spices up his tragic story with humor.
Friedrich Herzog, Hauptkommissariat Berlin. Es ist mir eine Ehre, den besten Fälscher der Welt verhaften zu dürfen.
Treating a sensitive subject this way, that is, with the strategies of mainstream cinema, is something they like in America, because it's a way to get difficult topics across to a broad audience. That's somehow always difficult in Austria and Germany, because we have this division between entertainment and high art. We always consider entertainment stupid and art has to be intellectual, and there's nothing in between.
König der Fälscher. Willkommen in Sachsenhausen.
In the US, The Counterfeiters opened successfully in cinemas after the Academy Awards, and the first offers from Hollywood are already lying on Ruzowitzky's desk.
At the
end of the day, it has to be a film that's right for me. A film where I can remain myself. I'd be bored by something too straightforward, aimed at a mass audience. There has to be a bit of a risk involved. I might fall flat on my face, but I've already done that.
But for now, Stefan Ruzowitzky is enjoying his success and the new creative opportunities the Oscar has brought him.
In Along Come Tourists, German director Robert Thalheim also found a new way to address the history of the Holocaust. Today we're giving away the DVD of Thalheim's award-winning film. For a chance to win, just write to us and tell us what you think of our show. Here's the address: DWTV, Wolterstraße 6, 13355 Berlin. Email kino@dw-world.de. That's all for today's show, but we're back in April with a sneak peek at this year's favorites for the Lolas, the German Film Prize. Until then, see you at the movies.